Hey everybody, Mike Fifer, Fifer Hobby Supply. Tonight we're going to do update 6, and we've made some substantial progress. You're going to be impressed because I'm impressed. So anyway, let's take a look at it and see what I've been doing for the last few days. Okay, gang, I hate to say this, but this happens on every layout that anybody ever builds. I have made a miscalculation. I do believe that right over there I have enough clearance between the plywood and the top. If I don't, I will cut the plywood. But at this point, I know I don't have enough clearance. And at that point, obviously, that point, and it took me almost 48 more inches than what I thought it would take to get up to where I wanted to be. But I am coming out where I need to be over there from the bottom. But I don't know how I did that, but I did it. But anyway, what's going to happen next is I had to take the big piece of plywood and turn it around that direction. And what's going to happen is I'm going to turn it back around, slide it all the way down here. Then I'm going to go underneath it and mark it with a pencil along the outsides of where these pieces of wood are, randomly. And that will be a canyon, not a canyon, but a small ravine where the train comes up through in the middle of the layout. The main line is actually going to be back there against the wall. This track here that you see dead-ended, probably way back here somewhere, needs to have a turnout on it so that I can put a siding on it that goes down there and then makes a curve, comes around and comes back. But we'll see how that works out. But for right now, this is what I got. I'm going to let the glue dry on the bottom of the foam, and then I'll be taping the top of the foam and painting the top of the taped foam. So that's what we have right now. Okay, gang. What I have done here doesn't look like much. It looks just like the plywood sitting up here. But what I have done is I've made the plywood even, straight up and down, to be able to put the fascia on there at a later time. And I think everything here is pretty straight up and down. And here is the end of the 8-footer. And you can see that it's perfectly straight up and down. So the fascia will fit straight up and down. And I have 2 reference screws in. One right there. And one right there. And what that allows me to do is now this board is exactly where it goes. And to get that board exactly where it goes, I had to take my vibrating saw and cut off the bottom of that masonite back there in some places to be able to push the wood back far enough to get these 2 pieces here parallel. So that is exactly where the board there will go, where the plywood will go. I doubled up, I think I've said it, I doubled up the 1-bys here, so the next piece of plywood will screw on there. My next chore is to go underneath the plywood, and all this track that goes down there will be in a cut. And what I'm going to do is go under and mark straight up, just randomly along there, down to where the tunnel portal will eventually be placed. And then I'm going to take the jigsaw and I'm going to cut in at an angle like this. Or actually from the other side, I'll be cutting out at an angle to make that little cut down through there where the track comes up. So there will be this little cut, or or canyon, or I don't know, not a canyon, arroyo type looking thing, that the track will be going down until it goes down underneath down there. I'm gonna try and mark that right now, and then I'm gonna try and get that cut this afternoon. So we're gonna see how that goes, but this baby is in place where it goes. So I'm gonna get with it. Okay, everybody. Now you can see what's going on. That canyon will go down, and there will be a tunnel portal down there at the very end. And I have cut some slits in there so that I can raise that piece up just slightly, so I can get a little bit more clearance if needed. But that will be the cut that will come up through here and create the elevation change up to over in here. Let me stand back. And there you go. And then the plaster cloth will go down onto the foam, and there you'll have it. So I'm not going to attach it back down yet because I've got to put tape over the top of the foam, and I'll just see how far I get. What I'm going to do is just slide that back down this way again towards this end over here to get it out of the way to be able to tape the foam. And once I do that, then I need to get the pieces made for back in behind here and get this lower level painted and ready to go. Then I can attach that plywood up there. So I hope it's starting to make sense now. And you can see that most of that is not extremely deep. Hang on 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, so there's a 50-foot cleaning car, and this is track level. And this is actually about my eye level. So you can see that even as this train goes down through here, even to this point, you'll be able to see most of the train once it gets out of that tunnel portal. And you can see right here by my measurements on my plan that this is where I need to start the siding, the double track siding that goes up that way to that curve that's going to loop around up there. So it turns out that I'm going to be in good shape doing it this way. So hang on 1 second, I'm going to show you one other thing. Okay, right there I have my square under the piece that I cut there. And you can see that it raises that up a little bit right there. And that should be more than sufficient. Hang on 1 second once again. Okay, granted that is not an auto rack. It's a 50-foot boxcar. And I probably would have had clearance without cutting that. But cutting that is not going to make a hill of beans in the rest of the planning that goes on top here. So, you can see that I have plenty of clearance. Okay, everybody, it's only been a matter of about 30 minutes, and I have got all those pieces in between the risers that go down where the lower track is. And like I've said, all that will be painted some color. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'll do. I even thought about like painting some generic mountains on it, you know, not anything extravagant, but just like up and down, and maybe put some bushes along there or something. I don't know. Not anything that's going to take a long time because it's going to be underneath and it's mostly going to be dark under there. You won't be able to see much. But there is that, and you can see that all of that is the same level as everything else. So when you view the lower track, the majority of it will be right there. And the same thing will happen to this track over here that's kind of obscured at the moment down underneath there. So what everybody's calling hidden track is not hidden track. There is some hidden track on this layout, granted, but not a lot of it. You'll be able to see the train for quite some time. You'll be able to see it, make sure it's going, and so forth. And then I have a camera that will go inside the mountain over there, but we're not going to go there yet. It's actually got 2 cameras and 1 monitor, and I can put 1 on each end, make sure the train is still moving. All I have to do is look over at the monitor. This little circle down here, I'm pretty confident that it'll just continue to run around there. No big deal. So that's it. Well, okay, everybody. I went and had to get some new tape, masking tape, and I taped the top of the risers. And as you can see, I bought some white paint, and I have painted all this frontal lower level up to this point. So it is still wet. It is going to dry before morning. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I've had some suggestions of painting the surface brown and then painting the track with my airbrush. And then I was thinking about putting some hills and some foliage, just dabbing on some sponged foliage along the back or whatever. But I don't know. I kind of like it just plain. I think I'm just going to leave it plain. Because once the top is over it, it's going to look like that. It's going to be dark. You see what I'm saying? It's going to be like gray. And the fascia is going to be gray. But anyways, I like it like that. And this is what I have gotten done tonight. And when that's dry tomorrow, all I have to do is start putting track on there. And the track will be glued down with low temperature hot glue. Because I find that that's the easiest to get up and the easiest to put down. So I think I'll be putting new rail joiners on all this, getting good pieces of track, and because some of them were a little bit painted up and kind of ugly. I guess they don't matter in the back. But I don't even know if I want to paint this track down here. I want to maybe keep it as simple as I possibly can. So I don't know. But we'll be working on it again tomorrow. Okay, gang, I showed you the video of the painting. The paint is dry. I put all the pieces of track back on, made sure I had good joiners and insulators. So I've got insulators there. I've got a good feeder right here, right underneath there. The 2 switch controls coming down through. The same thing down there. I have a good feeder on the outside of the switch. I have 2 good insulators there, and I've made sure all the joiners are good going down that way. Then I had to make sure I had good pieces of track going around this way, and good joiners all the way. I have not tested this track. I need to go get a power pack from inside and check this out, and then use a 9-volt battery, make sure the turnouts work. But it appears that everything here is ready to go. And when I get it attached down with some, and make sure that it works, and get it attached down with some low temperature hot glue, I will put the top on. Okay, this is the same shot as last time. However, what you cannot see in this video is all this track has been tested, the turnouts have been tested, and it is all hot glued down to the roadbed. All the way up to here. And right here I'm going to convert, I do believe, or maybe even back further, and I can pull that up. But maybe even back further, I will convert to the Pico track. But we'll see how that works out. But the exciting news there is I'm ready to move this piece of plywood back and permanently screw it down. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be back and show you a picture. Okay, here is my piece of plywood, upper level, attached in place, at least with 2 screws. And this little canyon goes down through there. The track goes into it, and there'll be a tunnel portal right down there at the bottom. So the deck is in place. I only have 2 screws holding it in place, and I think I will continue to maybe work on the piece that goes down this way. Once I do that, I'll be ready to lay out the yard here on top. So you can kind of see how you'll be able to see the underlying track. Goes around the end, comes up through the tunnel portal there, comes all the way up here. Somewhere in here, the siding will start. The 2 Pico tracks will go down this way, curve around that way, hit a loop, make a loop, come back, be up there on the top, and then over here somewhere it will go uphill a little bit and then cut over the top of that with a bridge, go down, make a curve, go around to the back down to that end, curve around, and go down that side. Anyway, you will understand more as I go. It's a lot like a puzzle. By the way, my little, probably what I'll do here in a couple minutes is where these pieces of wood stick out, I'll cut those with my vibrating saw. And then, of course, that'll be, from the top to the bottom, will be connected with with some plaster cloth. And then that'll be a little cut down through there. So, that's it for right now. Okay, this doesn't look like anything major, but I got the cabinets rolled back under. I vacuumed the floor a little bit. I'll vacuum it better later. But I got the cabinets back under there where they go, which clears up a lot of space in here now. And then you see those pieces of masonite on the floor. I got this completed. So I've got this on the back side of where my spray booth is. And I will paint that lower part blue, or maybe the gray. And the fascia will come right around to here. And if you stand back here, it's cut at the same angle. Of course, if you're down here, it looks good, but I'm trying to figure out what to do to fill that. Probably just some plaster. Fill it with some newspaper, put some plaster in there, and smooth the plaster, and then paint that all blue also. But I did get, it doesn't seem like it, but that was kind of a major chore to get that end fixed and get the backdrop on both sides secured to the uprights, and the uprights leveled or paralleled with the earth. But anyway, I had to put a piece of, as you can see here on the bottom, I had to put a piece of end scale cork in there to actually make that up straight up and down. But it works. And if we go back way back over here, you can see my drills, and you can see the way that the scenery comes down and ends over there. So that's all I've got for you right now. It's getting to be close to feeding time for the old man. And this is Saturday evening. And then for now, I'm going to let you go. The next piece I'm going to work on is that one down there. Okay, gang. The last video you saw this. But I now have the next piece cut and in place. And it required a little modification. I had to take it outside 2 or 3 times to cut it. And then to get the pieces to lay level, I had to put a little cork row bit under it. But it's pretty good. And I had to make a, sorry, my finger's always in there. I had to make a little fix here. And you can see what I did. I cut way back on the plywood, and I just sloped that down to be level. Hang on a minute. Sorry, guys. If I put that across there, you can see that that works. And it finishes out my getting up on top. So, this is where we are. And I think I'm going to wrap this one up for tonight. Well, okay, everybody. I hope you enjoy the progress. I feel like now I'm at a point where I can actually start doing the layout. Because the other side over here is not going to be too much of a problem. It's basically a lot of hidden track, a lot of downhill. That piece on the end down there is just going to be a flat piece of plywood. That's going to be a no-brainer. But we'll get to that another day. What I'm going to do next, I believe, is I'm going to just start getting pieces in here and start laying out the yard and some of the track up here to see how this is all going to fit on top of here. I think that's the next important step. So that's it for tonight, and I hope you enjoyed it. And as usual, thanks for watching.